Socrates' method will make you smarter. Here's how. You've been surrounded by answers your whole life. Education, politics, religion, social media. Everyone has something to say, something to teach, something to tell you about the world and how to live in it. But Socrates wasn't interested in answers. He was obsessed with the one thing no one wants to admit. We don't know. Not really. Not deeply. Not in the way that matters. He walked the streets of Athens, not to preach, not to argue, but to destroy illusions. He asked questions, basic ones, fundamental ones. What is justice? What is virtue? What is truth? And when people answered, he kept going. What do you mean by that? How do you know that's true? What follows from that idea? He wasn't trying to win debates. He was trying to get underneath the noise, to expose the cracks in lazy thinking, to force clarity out of confusion. The Socratic method is not a trick. It's not a gimmick or a tactic for sounding clever. It's a discipline of thought, a sharp, focused process that cuts through assumptions like a blade. You start with a belief, any belief, and you break it apart, not to destroy it, but to understand it, to strip away the fluff and get to its core. You question your own thinking until there's nowhere left to hide. It's not comfortable. That's the point. Socrates compared himself to a gadfly, stinging the sleeping horse of society to wake it up. Most people don't want to be awakened. They want confirmation, validation, agreement. But the Socratic thinker doesn't settle for that. They want to know, really know, why they believe what they believe. And that kind of clarity comes at a cost. You have to be willing to see that you might be wrong. You have to be willing to chase the truth, even when it's ugly. That's why Socrates was hated by so many and loved by so few. He made people uncomfortable. He exposed the pretense. He spoke with no authority except reason itself. And that's what scared the authorities the most. They called him dangerous, corrupting the youth, undermining tradition. All he did was ask questions, but those questions hit harder than any weapon. He didn't write anything down. No books, no treatises, no manifestos. Everything we know about him comes from the people he questioned and the people who watched. Plato, Xenophon, Aristophanes. They painted different pictures, but the method stayed consistent. Keep asking, keep pushing, keep digging. Never settle for the first answer, or the second, or the third. That's where the power is. In that refusal to stop, in that commitment to clarity, no matter how long it takes or how much it shakes your certainty. That's what makes you smarter, not knowing more facts, not memorizing arguments, but learning to think from the ground up, learning to rebuild your ideas with discipline and precision. Socratic thinking is not about being cynical or contrarian. It's not about arguing for the sake of arguing. It's about slowing your mind down, about noticing the hidden assumptions behind your beliefs, about turning your thoughts inside out and seeing what holds up. It takes ego and throws it out the window, because the real goal isn't to be right, it's to be clear. And clarity is rare. Think about how most people form opinions. They hear something, they like how it sounds, they adopt it. That's it. They never examine it, never test it, never challenge it. But the Socratic method demands more. It forces you to interrogate the foundations. Is this idea built on solid reasoning? Or is it just a borrowed opinion dressed up in confidence? When you apply the method, you start seeing through things. Politics, religion, morality, success, identity, all the big ideas. None of them escape scrutiny. And you start to notice how often people speak with certainty they haven't earned. They repeat slogans, they quote headlines, but they haven't thought deeply. They haven't done the work. You can spot it right away. Shallow certainty. It sounds strong, but it breaks fast under pressure. One well-placed question, and the whole thing collapses. That's what Socrates did to his opponents. He wasn't aggressive. He was relentless. He asked the kind of questions that exposed the weak spots. And once you see how flimsy some ideas are, you can't unsee it. But it's not just about others. It's about you. The Socratic method is personal. It's a mirror. It turns inward. You question your habits, your decisions, Your fears. Why do you want what you want? Why do you avoid what you avoid? Are those reasons solid, or just emotional defaults you've never challenged? That's where the transformation happens. You start to rewire your thinking. You stop reacting and start reflecting. You stop chasing approval and start chasing precision. You stop defending your ego and start defending the truth, even when it's not what you hoped for. Socrates believed the unexamined life is not worth living. That wasn't a metaphor. He meant it. Living without reflection, without questioning, without philosophical courage. That's not living. That's drifting. And most people are drifting, trapped in borrowed thoughts, numb to their own contradictions. But the examined life is different. It's sharp. It's conscious. It's alive. Every belief is earned. Every choice is rooted. Every moment becomes a chance to think better. And it's not about being smarter than others. It's about being smarter than you were yesterday. More aware, more honest, more disciplined. It's a kind of mental self-respect. You stop lying to yourself. You stop playing mental games to feel better. You start facing things directly. If you're wrong, you admit it. If your logic breaks, you fix it. If your beliefs don't align with your actions, you adjust. No excuses, no shortcuts, just the slow, steady work of thinking clearly. And the world doesn't want that. The world rewards speed, style, and certainty. It punishes nuance. It avoids silence. But Socrates thrived in silence, in tension, in the slow pull of unraveling an idea until the real shape shows itself. That's where real thought lies, in the pause, in the patience, in the honesty to say, I don't know, but I want to. It takes courage. Socratic thinking is not for the fragile. You will dismantle parts of yourself. You will uncover contradictions you didn't want to see. You will lose some of the easy comfort that comes with not questioning anything. But what you gain is worth more. You gain a mind that works. Not one that just reacts or performs, but one that investigates, clarifies, and sharpens. You'll see debates differently. You won't be pulled into emotional bait. You'll ask calmly what someone means. You'll follow their logic. You'll look for gaps, not to attack, but to understand. And when you respond, you'll do it with precision, not noise. That's power. That's clarity. That's intelligence in action. And when you turn that same lens on yourself, things change fast. You catch your own biases. You notice your lazy shortcuts. You stop giving yourself a free pass. You become your own mental sparring partner. And it's not always fun, but it's freeing. You stop depending on others to tell you what's true. You build it from the ground up. That's what Socrates did. He walked into a world filled with certainty and poked holes in it, not to destroy, but to rebuild. He didn't leave a doctrine. He left a process, a way of thinking that doesn't expire, doesn't go out of style, and doesn't depend on trends. It's a mindset, a method of living that demands nothing less than full engagement with your own mind. That's why the Socratic Method will make you smarter, not because it gives you better answers, but because it forces better thinking. And better thinking leads to better everything. Better decisions, better conversations, better understanding. It's not quick. It's not easy. But it's real. You don't need to become a philosopher. You don't need to read ancient texts. You just need to start asking harder questions of yourself, of others, of the world around you. Start with one belief, one assumption, one idea you've never questioned, and begin. Break it down, examine it, rebuild it if it holds, replace it if it crumbles. This isn't about proving people wrong. It's about proving yourself honest. It's about earning your thoughts. It's about living like your mind matters, because it does. That's the method. That's the mindset. That's the legacy of Socrates. If this sharpened your thinking, made you pause, or helped you see the world a little differently, like, subscribe, and stay with me. There's more where this came from.